No, it's the dashboard thing on Restream, which is on the other monitor.
Already done.
Hey, way ahead of me. So, are we live then?
We are streaming.
Great.
Hello.
Good morrow. Well, hello everyone. Sorry about the late start. I'm in the middle of Art Weeks, which is an open studios exhibition across Dorset. So, if you don't know about Dorset Art Weeks, well, now you do. It's an open studio event all across Dorset. Lots of different artists taking part, and you can go and see behind closed doors and say things like, "Do you actually live here?" and "Is this all your paintings?" and things like that. It's a lot of fun. So look out for a brochure. There's a website as well. Check it out. Come and say hello if you're around in the next few weeks. And you want
Because you're open, aren't you, James?
I am open to visitors. They can come and look at the things and.
What's the rule of that, isn't it? Like ring the doorbell and come on up.
Yeah, there's actually a sign there, which you are free to ignore. Most people do.
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how big the sign is.
Yeah, but no, that's fine. That's part of the nature of it. Anyway, so by the middle, I should have at least have some labels on things and stuff like that. But it's been a good start. A nice little private view yesterday.
Which was a lot of fun.
It was a bit impromptu, and I was a bit nervous about these things. I normally don't really do them, and I'm certainly not the person who should be organising them. But I had a bit of help, and it gave me some confidence. So I'm going to spread the invites far and wide this time. So if and do them well in advance. So if people wanted to actually make a trip, hop on a plane from wherever you live and come and visit, you'd be very welcome. So yeah, I've got. So today's setup is not a setup at all, but in fact a view out of the window. Not doing my normal still life. I have a changing sky in front of me, which I'm going to attempt to get some of this cloudiness and do a bit of interpreting as well, so that the Abbey, which you can kind of see out of the window, will look a lot more prominent when I paint it, because the eye kind of selects it. Whereas, where have I put this? Where did I put the microphone? Oh, it's all the way over there. I'll bring it a bit closer. A camera doesn't have the same distinction, so I'll be putting a bit of that. The old, what would you call it? Oh, where's my box of junk? The old artistic license into use. Let's see what comes out. Right, so this has taken a bit of a rejigging, moving things around, hence the slightly late start, but once I'm underway, time doesn't really exist, remember, so that'll be fine. Okay, I'll put that there. So I've still got a few little colours from last week. What did I do last week? Bananas. So yeah, we actually managed to use some of that banana rum in the punch.
Oh, was that in the punch, was it?
Yeah, yeah, it's really the only place for it. Yeah, so it's nice to know it has something useful to do. There is some punch left if you want some, Graham.
Oh, is that?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's in the fridge.
Maybe.
You just bring the whole jug down and a straw.
A straw, yeah, fine.
See how you get on. So yes, the view out of my window. I have this view, rather wonderful view of the Abbey. And between 7 and 9, this light is going to change a good deal. It's going to go from really quite flat lighting at the moment, hopefully into a bit of an evening glow. That's what I'm hoping for. No guarantees. I might have to make up an evening glow or exaggerate whatever is there, possibly. But all being well, we'll have some colours come into the clouds around about 8:30, which should be perfect timing for livening up what will, to begin with, be a fairly tonal picture. So to begin with, I'm going to mix some colours. They will be colours, but I'm going to use them like tones to begin with. But I will chuck some blues and reds in there for this foreground, and I should be able to darken them later on. Yeah, it's all very busy with open studios, lots of visitors and things like that. And I thought I'll clean my palette during the day and it'll all be ready, and I didn't get the chance. Next week's live stream, just to get ahead of myself, is going to be based on the romantic idea of the starving artist in their garret, which is really what people want to come and see during art weeks. They want to go and look at someone who's given up all the normal comforts of life for the dream of the futile pursuit of an artistic goal. And I think a lot of people like to see someone else doing that, just to make them feel better about their own choices. And who can blame them? So I'll definitely be doing something on that theme next week. So if you can think of things that communicate the starving artist in their garret theme, I'd be keen to hear what you reckon. We thought maybe some cheap booze, a half-eaten tin of beans, cold tin of beans with the fork sticking out of it. I'll have a beret. Not that I could ever wear it. Haven't really got the confidence to wear a beret, I don't think.
You pull it off.
No, I don't know. No, I don't think I could do it without it looking. I do know artists who wear berets, and they do them very well. They look right in them. For me, it would look like I was sort of wearing a fancy dress costume, I think. I suppose you need that confidence in it while you're wearing it. Okay, that's a start. I'm just going to start off with a bit of mixing, I think, and I'm going to make a purpley colour. I'm going to plump some blue there. I'm going to need some alizarin as well. There's quite a lot of alizarin in this. I'm going to have some alizarin. Instead of me organising my paints.
Not being able to see this evening, yeah, that sounded very much like you organising your paint.
Yeah. And now nicely organised in the drawer.
Just where you want them.
Yeah. Yeah, I could find my way around there. There was some of this here. Not quite well. Maybe I'll use some rose madder. That'd be good.
What's going to be the challenges for tonight's?
The challenges are mostly the changing light. It's going to be changing the contrasts as we go along all the way through.
And what can you do as an artist to assist and help you with creating those scenes?
Well, as I said, I'm going to be starting off with a tonal image. Oh, look at that, lovely. I'll move that tube out. Hasn't got a lid. So it would be starting off tonally, and once I can get the lights and the darks, the sky is obviously way lighter than anything else. So I need this sort of big jump between the colours of the buildings and the colour of the sky, but there will be sort of some less dark bits of the buildings and there will be some lighter bits of the sky. Oh, there we go. Right, Rose Madder is a lower tinting strength than I was expecting. I've got a red tint there. Oh, that's a really intense bright purple though, way more than I'd want. So I'm going to want to be able to put some darks in at the end, so I'll lighten this a bit. I'll leave a little bit just for some darks. Oh, that's way too light. Mad. There's madness. Redden this up. And I've got a bit of raw umber here, which I'll use as a dark yellow. That's too brown. Chuck the rest of this red in here. Okay, yeah, that's nice. So I can use that for some big shapes. As things go into the distance, I'm going to exaggerate this bluish quality. I'll put it over here. Take a bit of this, and that blue. And I'll add some yellows in afterwards that I'll fit in with it. And then I need a big jump to the lightest of the lights. Well, sorry, no, the darkest of the lights, actually, I should say. That's going to be up here, like this. So, a suitably big jump between these to separate them out. Yeah, that should be okay. Is that my phone ringing?
It is.
Who is it?
Mark Pender.
Ah, okay. Yeah, not a good time. Yeah, I teach on Wednesdays and I do this on Monday evenings, and that's the only times anyone ever phones me up. Okay, I'm going to start with this blue. I'm going to use a bit of thinners, which sort of does break down the binder, the linseed oil to a certain extent, which means you've got a bit of sort of staining quality. And I'm going to start with the Abbey and place that where I want it, and it's going to be actually be down here. Got this kind of diagonal like that, and then the Abbey's going to come out a bit here. And it's quite a big window here. I'm going to ignore the structure of the window and just imagine it's not there. So if that's the side of the Abbey, and it's about 4 across to about there. So it's about this wide. Okay, so I'm just putting a shape in to begin with. I'll fine tune it later on.
Just a quick mention that the camera that we've got set up for the view that the viewers are seeing is going to be a fair bit off what James is actually seeing this evening. It's just not positioned as we would normally do.
Well, it is pretty much in front of my head. It's the change in light conditions. So this is an interesting little experiment in how to deal with changing light conditions. The amount of light on the canvas compared to the amount of light outside is vastly different, and that's going to really inform how I paint this. Okay, straight away, there's nothing further away. Oh, hang on, what's this? I'll look for a shape, and it's going to come out about there. Let's see that roof of the Abbey over there, and then I can get some of these darker colours in front. And again, a fair bit of thinners, not too much, but just enough to sort of make the paint spread and break down the binders, so it's slightly more thinners than oil. And I can still get it on just about opaque. And then I can say that's going to be, let's see, bit of that shape there. Okay, this is a bit corner there. Now, I don't want to get too caught up in the architecture. Just sort of scrub that in. Probably need to use a bigger brush for this, really, but there you go. That's there. It's got that, a few chimneys sticking out. That's that. Is that in the right place? Feels like it's in the right place. Roughly there. Okay, so keep going back, reloading this colour. And I'll put this rooftop here. I went way too far with that. I think I can't fix later on. I'm having to look around my cameras and stuff, but that's okay. I'll get my angle there. That's about right. Put that in. No, that's straight up. More chimneys. Oh, that's all in the wrong place. I'm going to have to measure this again. All right, I'm measuring the width of the tower of the Abbey. That's about there. Which puts that in about the right place. So I'm figuring out where that little clock bit on the front is. And if I go across again, that gets me all the way to the next, to that end chimney. So I go to there, and all the way there, and that end chimney would actually go here. So everything else has to fit in. Grab all of that out.
Probably a very basic question to us, Jim, but what's your method for figuring out the distances between things?
It's all comparative. So there's it's interesting. I was talking about this earlier. There's a few different things that you can get taught for different circumstances. In portraiture, there's a thing called the sight size method, which is really where you get a visual cue from the actual scale of the object you're looking at, and you transfer that scale onto your surface. So, you know, if you measured the height of someone's head with your brush and just put that straight onto the canvas so that they appear the same size to your eye from where you're sitting, that's one way of, and then you just have to keep that consistent through the picture, through making the image. But I tend to work, so I take something, there'd be one thing in charge and everything would relate back to that. So in this case, I'm using the Tower of the Abbey here. And once I've got this distance, I can measure that distance again and say, where does that get me to and what fits within it? And this whole sort of extra structure fits within it, and then beyond that, there's a chimney there. There's one here. There's one here.
And do you always pick the kind of focal point of your painting to do the sizing structure then?
Not necessarily. Sometimes it's just it's something you can refer back to easily and always find again. Hang on, what's this do? Right. And then yeah, as long as you can always sort of find that structure again, you're always referring your measurements back to the same original few measurements, rather than I don't know what you'd call it. You can kind of go a bit Chinese whispers with it, and every time you do a new measurement, it's based on a new observation, and that new observation will yield a different little inaccuracy. And so you can end up sort of having things get out of control. A good way to experience it, if you want to experience that, is to do the outline of something complicated. And as you start the outline, you'll sort of wander around and you'll see all these little subtleties of wakey. Let's go by his head, right? Yeah, you'll see all these little subtleties and things, and then and as you sort of try and pick them out, you'll get caught up in them, and then I don't know how to describe it really, and that and then each little incremental mistake adds to the last one, and by the time you get to the end of the outline, you're in completely the wrong place. And I think most people have experienced that at some point or other. Anyone who's ever had to try and draw a picture or draw a picture of a map or something like that for a geography project or what have you. So at the moment I'm lining up, so I've got this little sort of shape in these objects. That's about halfway down. That lines up with the outside of this shape here. Again, trying to get those big shapes together. Yeah, I could get too caught up in this, but it's mostly just practicing looking at the moment. I'm not trying to make it all perfect. And again, I'm just using thin inky paint. All the binder's broken down, so that oil sort of all come apart. It's not holding the paint together anymore. And that means I can chuck in a load of these shapes. And a lot of this is really just about memory. Once I've looked at these things, I can remember having looked at them. In a sense, a painting is sometimes just a list of all the things you've paid attention to, and what got your attention and how and why and whatever it is you want to do about that. Okay, so that's kind of my.
Two articles are being.
What are you clicking on there? Is that one of the strange science video? Careful. If two particles are what? Something about two particles. Right. That's one lot of shapes. Plenty to sort of fine tune as we go along. So I'll do a bit of that now. So it won't be a lot more vertical. Put a bit of that in. That's going to be a lot thinner. Actually, it's going to come here. That crosses over it about there. So let's get another brush just to sort of clear the path. Make a little negative space there. I'm going to go back to my blue now.
Susan's message on Facebook and says, "Hi James, wonderful to watch a master at work." I bet you can't see me.
Yeah, it is. So, isn't it? Let me know who you're watching. I'll tune into them afterwards. Oh, people are very sweet. Far too kind. Well, there you are. Pressure's on. That's all. What are you clicking? Ah, right. Okay, Graham. Can you see on the top of the keyboard? There's some volume things.
Yeah.
And on the left, if you click the leftmost one, you'll see it go to mute.
Yeah.
So it's old. No, it's old. Oh, it's me keeping 1,000 tabs open and old videos playing.
That's because there wasn't that button, wasn't it?
It's all my fault. So that's me from last week chatting away. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to try and keep this hazy now. Keep it fairly vague and hazy. That's going to be a bit lower down. Once I really start to sort of pin this stuff down, I can really relax a little bit. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Okay, let's I'm gonna get a bigger brush for this. Oh, this one's slightly misshapen. See if we can bring that back. Didn't get cleaned properly. Oh, embarrassing. Shame of it. Okay, and I've got this jump to the light, which is, have we got a giant grey cloud coming to ruin everything? That's too runny and watery. There we go.
Tell us a bit more about last night then, James.
I can't really remember it. It was hours ago. What happened?
Well, you were opening.
Oh yeah. So I had a little private view. I'm terrible at these things. I never really trust myself to invite anyone or organise anything. But I was very fortunate to have some help from Claire and Laura, who, yeah, were excellent at just managing the whole thing. So I'm very grateful to them. And it did make me think that actually it is sort of doable for future events. So next time I'm going to plan more in advance. And yeah, do some more invitations, I guess. Where's this going? What about there? I'll move that up. Out a bit, I think. Yeah, so people came along and chatted to each other in my studio. Isn't that what happened? Feels like that's what happened.
Well, they met you, they had a few drinks.
Yeah.
Just a good bit of fun.
It was. Yeah, I feel like I'm not really selling it here. I don't know what I meant to say, really. Yeah, it was good to do. I always sort of bulk at these things a little bit. So actually, just getting on and doing it. I'm grateful for the encouragement. Okay, so there you are. There's a basic form coming in now, and there's also some tonal range. That's a giant grey cloud. It's very unhelpful. Yeah. Well, I suppose this will give me a chance to get some of these these colours in. So I've got these sort of shapes here. When I get to about level with that, they start to go into these big shapes around here. So I'm keeping those sorts of forms, and then they flatten out. Then at the back, they go really flat. And again, a bit of artistic license. So hopefully you'll get a sense of looking up here. Okay. What I will do now, I think I'll get a little bit of that sky colour, just a tiny bit. And I'll pop a little bit into this red. And make some of this grey. Then we'll just pop a few dabs of that in where it goes. And this will be a reference to the next bit. There's some of that grey there. There's going to be some. Oh, it's the tricky one. There's some here. Okay. Yeah, keep that pretty simple. That lines up with the edge of this. That's pretty good. Not sure where my chimney's going to go. There is some tricky drawing to get pinned down here. That isn't aligned. Just really try and be, what's the word? Interpretive, is that what I'm trying to say? Let's see what I can find about how these bits go together. I'm going to need another brush. Make a slightly redder version of this. So I need to be adding some darks into it in time.
Josie Chadwick comments, oh, this is a bonus on a bank holiday and in the Arts Weeks.
Yes. Hi, Josie. Yeah, so it's all going on at the moment. Art Weeks is trundling along happily now, so I feel like I can just sort of let that go on in the background. Put some of this red in. So I'm still working very subtle, very flat areas. It's yeah, I haven't introduced any yellow yet. That will be coming next. Know where the front of that roof is. Oh yeah, there's a bit more. There we go. That's that. And
when it's such a kind of complicated and busy sort of scene that you're going to be painting, where do you look to start with all of these?
That's big shapes. That's the main thing. Start by finding my way into the big shapes. I haven't made too many decisions about exactly where they are or how I'm going to paint them. I'm trying to avoid doing any hard edges, much as it's tempting to. If I can get the big shapes in, then the small shapes will emerge from that and make a lot more sense. This is interesting because there's a lot of, yeah. can tell I'm concentrating because the words aren't coming out. Okay, so I'm just thinking about some of these reds here. It's nearly time for some yellow ochre. Maybe it's time for some proper mixing. Maybe I can do that now. Actually, yeah, I think I can. Shall we go to the palette?
Oh, palette, sure.
Okay, I'm going to get some yellow ochre out. Okay, I'm going to get a bit of that red, which is kind of a shadow red. So I'm changing my yellow ochre. So it's still not, oh yeah, I'm going to get a bit of this rose madder, stick that in it. This is quite a nice subtle red. It's got a bit of that alizarin crimson quality, but it's very weak tint. So this is a yellow I can put into things. Am I going to want to use it to darken? Probably not. So I'll put a bit of light in it, and a bit of white. And a little bit of that violet just to calm it down. There we go. And maybe I'll put that over here. Get some more of that violet, and I'm being aware to keep it darker tonally than these. Let's put some more red in. I knew I was going to need more of that. Yeah. It's also my favourite Isaac Asimov limerick. Was about rose madder. No, I can't repeat it. Not many people know that Isaac Asimov, as part of being a science fiction writer, used to write filthy limericks, but he did. He was very good at it. Yeah. So there's one about Titian and the rose madder. I encourage you to Google it.
Separate Google for that one.
Yeah. No, it's not like filthy actually. It's very clever. But the thing is, you've got to be very careful with the internet. You don't know who your audience is. There could be children watching, people with sensitive dispositions. So yes, I'm trying to keep this shop window level. Okay, this is a colour. It does relate quite well to this one. It's still lighter than that background colour. You can see the sky is already starting to change. I hope you can start to see some warmer colours turning up in the sky. I'm going to keep that out there. I'm going to get some more white in. What's this? Mix in white. Let's have some more of that. Don't think there's any left in the tube. No. Okay. Tube of mixing white. So I want to create a bit of bulk. I want some fairly sturdy, stiff stuff. Brush marks for those structures and for the sky actually. But to begin with, what have I got here? That's ultramarine. I did have some unbleached titanium, which I think might be quite useful here as well. I'm rather enjoying the unbleached titanium. It's got a little bit of a sort of a Naples yellow quality, you know, far more neutral. It's that off-white, it's that not using a white trick. Let's get some of that blue in there. Let's get a whole chunk of red in there, see what that's doing. Okay, that's too violet. So if I put some more umber in there as well. Bit bluer. Yeah, it's on the darker side now. Let's sit in front of that. It's still going to be one of the lighter colours for the structures in the front. So I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll put that here, and I'm going to do a much darker one. Right here. Still going to have a purpley tint. No, I'll put that here. Make a redder version. There we go. Just have some of that, a bit of mixing white. It's hopefully won't lighten it as much, but it'll give it a bit of bulk. Yeah, that's pretty good. Still overthinking this. Need more red in it. I'm going to go really red into that foreground. That's it. That's getting there. It's a bit lighter. Stick more red in that. Too light again. Blue. And loads more red. Okay, that'll do that. I'll go back to my ochres now. And I'm mixing too many colours here. I'm getting carried away. Looking at my subject matter and thinking about how that's going to work. Some of these sort of browny colours look quite bright, but I've got to be careful of that. It's probably a bit more like it. A bit of orange in there. Oh, is that too much? No, that's okay. That's about as bright as they're going to get. So I'll go in with the dark first. Just go back to the main image screen.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so just with this dark areas, I'll pop a few of those in and try and piece together a few of these bits and pieces. There's some there. And a few here and quite a lot there. That roof. Chuck some of that in. Far down that goes. Probably down to about here. Some in that roof there. Get that on. Nice kind of diagonal going down. Bits and pieces. So it scoops up and then comes back in again. Right. So yeah, getting some darks in. I'm already seeing a bit of contrast between background and the foreground. Yeah, it's this sort of ridge of tiles up here. They've got this sort of dark edge on them. So there's that. Some of these chimneys. I'm overthinking it again. Calm down, relax, step back. Okay, that is an interesting quality there. Which was my clean brush? a bit. Okay, we're going to over fuss it. Go into some other darks in here. So what have I got? A couple of these shapes here. I've got a bit of that. Is that right? Yeah. A bit of that there. Oh, here we are. Starting to find it now. I have painted this before, leaving the view out of my window. I'm kind of I should know it by heart, but for some reason I don't. Okay, but there's a few structures that need to go in. That's going to go in front. Few of the darks. Not going to overthink it. Okay, but I do want some of this drawing in. I do want it to have the sort of, coherent drawing quality. I just want most of it to come from the structured marks, and I want the paint to be fairly solid and, what would you call it? Yeah, sort of robust marks on the surface. Do as a sort of a placeholder. There you are. Okay, keep that fuzzy and vague. It needs to point up.
Would you say it's harder to paint something that you look at and see every day?
Oh, well, certainly you get like preconceptions as to what you're meant to see. There's certain details which will sort of embed themselves as being meaningful, and they become harder to ignore when you're trying to see what the Germans call the Gestalt, the altogether view. Yeah,
this is a view that you see out of your window every single day.
Yeah, pretty frequently. So I can go to some of these darks here. Again, so this paint's starting to sort of get a bit streaky and a bit thin and a bit fiddly. I want to avoid that. I want to keep simple blocks of it, but some of it's getting these structures in, and some of it will be important because it will create a kind of perspective. So yeah, some there. So the paint gets thicker again. That's good. And this is just getting some darks in because I'm going to go in with lights after this. I don't want to be overly fiddly and careful with it. So okay. While I've got these darks on, I'm going to get back to that original blue, and I'm going to mix a darker version just with what's on the brush. It's only going to be slightly darker. It'll be enough that I can put in a bit of extra structure, and hopefully that will be apparent later on. Yeah, like that clock there. Yeah, that's wrong. something I can't fix later. Oh, you know what? Maybe that does come up a bit. Okay, and we're starting to get that glow in the sky. That's coming on. So I'm just going to chuck in a few of these sort of beigey colours. I'll start where it's brightest, and as it mixes in, that's probably a bit too yellow. There's some. It's going to have to get redder in places as well. But I'll do that straight away. I'll make a little redder version just to one side. I quite like this rose madder. You can just sort of chuck a lump of it in and you don't completely lose your mix. Still darker slightly than what's in the background there, which is mildly confusing because yeah, a bit more of that red in it. No. Oh, yeah. Wake up. How are we doing for time, Graham?
I was about to say we come out to 8 o'clock.
Coming up to 8 o'clock with stuff.
3 minutes to, so.
I'm going to keep going for the moment. It was a bit late starting, wasn't it? Right, that needs to go there. Cover the lid around it. I'm using quite a big brush for this at the moment. It's going to extend over. No, 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 no. Some sort of wipey. No, I don't want that. Let's do a bit more of this, a bit more of this. Let that go in. Okay.
Do you have a size of brush that you sort of tend to enjoy working with more, or is it all sort of dependent on what you're trying to paint at the time?
I do have, I think for me, the most versatile brush is a fairly large, long flat, because you can make most of the marks you want to make with that. Which is what I'm doing now. They're quite square marks, you know, so if you want a really sort of rounded shape, it's not perfect, but yeah, generally speaking. So I'm just looking for all the places this color goes. A bit there as well. That's there, and this travels along. So I'm lining some of this drawing up here. That bit. Oh, I've already passed a window. How I managed that. That's the second window. There's a lamp post around here. You know what? I'm just going to pop all of that in. Some more in here. Definitely some more in there. There's a direction to this brickwork, which is going to suggest a certain amount of perspective. Up there. Okay, when I get right into the background, I'll take some of this yellow, some of this blue. work for these bits as well. And some of this. Oh yeah. So I'm getting a few interesting little structures in and around here. I'm trying to avoid going too detailed with any of it. Where's that going to go? Yeah, okay. Something about that. Now the sky's starting to get interesting. I don't want to get too caught up with this. And I'm going to have to get the sky in before I sort of go in and reinforce some of these darks. And also all the colours are going to change, so I know what I'm thinking about. Right, that's my lamppost there. Put that in as a measuring device. Which means I've got a few windows here. A few there. Oh, it don't quite work. Don't quite fit. This is rather wonky bit of, I don't know what you'd even call that. Okay, let's go back to some of these lights. I've got some of these greyish colours here. Is that too dark? No, it's about right. That's going to get reinforced. Some of these blues on here. You know what, I do need more than one brush on the go here. Keep going, keep adding them. Go back to my darks. How's this going to behave? Is it going to be scratchy and awful? No, it's okay, it's behaving. There we are. Yeah, some more of these blues. Not very blue. There we go. Places where it gets a bit darker as well. There. Around here. Okay, I'm a bit happier about the sort of the structural quality of this paint now. Put a few bits like that in. Now it's happening. I'll come back to that. And just a little bit in here. I've lost my brush now. Is this the brush? Yeah, this is the brush. Yeah, structure there. I'll jump the gun a little bit with some of these lights. I can put. Still got this light I used for blocking in. I can put a bit in there.
As you say, you jump the gun.
Well, before I've actually put any of the light sky colours in, I can sort of skip ahead and borrow some of these. This blocking in colour I've used, and do a few reflected highlights from the for the windows. There's also a nice little trick I can do, probably with a bit of this blue, make it kind of a weird turquoise with that and orange. A bit of the white. Okay, make that a bit bluer maybe. And this will go nicely in a few of these. If that works. Not sure it does. Maybe I'll come back to these windows, see if they're important. They're not that important, I'm getting caught up in it. Oh, I can see a bit in there though, that's quite fun. Some of these highlights in the stonework. Sort of puts it into shadow. Put bits in there, bits in there. It's funny, it seems much lighter now than when I started because the light behind it isn't actually as bright. But yeah, it's still much darker than the sky is. Okay, I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to get some of that sky colour, which is going to be the same as this, but much lighter. So I'm going to use some mixing white because I want a quantity of it. It's about the same tone as that now. That's actually going to be my cloud colour. Put a bit more purpley blue into it a bit. So let's take some of that. Put a bit of that purple in. Oh yeah. Let's take another bit. Put a bit extra blue in it this time. Darken that even more. That purple and grey. Okay, I'm going to need a sky colour itself. It's going to have to be a bit cleaner, but not completely clean. Use a bit of titanium in that as well, I think. That can go here. It's going to be a bit of blue. It's going to have some clean yellow in it. I think I might need a little bit of, what's this? Oh no, that's magenta. Might need a bit of manganese blue or something like that. Way too dark. Bit of titanium white. Okay, let's see what that does. And the last thing is the white and the light colour. I've run out of space on my palette for my lights. My rag is now, and I've got no clean bits left on it. Oh, have to be careful not to slash my wrists while I'm trying to use it. I need some oil. I'm going to use some normal linseed. Lid there, pop in that. There we go. Replace the top on this before I forget and kick it all over the floor. Ah, it won't go on. Come on. Hey. Okay, where am I? I'm going to clean this brush. It's a little bit thin as well. It's a perfectly good brush to use. Pop a bit of oil in it. And let's dash out a few of these lights. be a good place for them to go. You can always thicken it up more as you go along. There we are.
When you paint the sky, that's obviously going to be continually changing.
Well,
do you make a mental note of what it's looking like at a particular time, or
well,
how do you work it?
I'm making an actual physical note of what it looks like, you know, right now. And there's a language to the clouds as well. So I'm just trying to get that. And I know it's going to get darker. So that blue is going to get darker. So I'm sort of preempting how much darker it's going to get. It's going to get yellower as well. But if I get a surface on that I can mix into, that will do it. Okay, so I'm doing all this with brush mixes at the moment. Yeah, so I've got this extra blueness here. I'm going to carry that down. I'll probably go over it, but it won't hurt to have it on there. Again, this is still quite thin, thinly applied paint, even though it's sort of a denser mix. There's a little bit of oil in it, but not much. And I can breathe a bit of that extra blue into the top. Okay, now this is where it gets interesting. Because these clouds don't look entirely convincing. Obviously they are real clouds, but there is this thing of, will it look weird when it's in a painting? And the answer is quite possibly. Right. Borrow a little bit of that beigey colour, a little bit of that orange. Some of that around the edges. It ends up more in some places than others. And where does that go? There you go. I can do a few negative spaces while I'm going along. And the brightest bit is in this dip here. So that's where I've kind of got to get things ready. And that's where the paint's going to get the thickest and the yellowest and the whitest. So in the meantime, I'm just going to get this language of these clouds going. So I've got this top ridge to these clouds. Try not to be put off by the yellowness at the moment. There, sort of a light bottom to those. Again, it's not playing well with the shape of the top of the abbey at the moment, so I might have to reintroduce a bit of blue over here. Yeah, okay, we'll get away with that. That light travels all the way up. I'm nearly out of it already. Okay, now the top, a lot vaguer, it sort of travels into the cloud. And again, this is just sort of a rough mix, just to get some shapes in. All right, that's come to an end. Oh no, I brought it back again. And what I really need to preempt is some of the warmth that comes with this. But again, it's just sort of fairly thin paint. The place this has really got to come up with the goods is, it's happening already, isn't it? In the clouds. So I'm going to start with this greyish cloud and see what that does. This is quite a lot of paint going on here. Ah, but that's good. That's being sympathetic. That's working into the other colour underneath. I've got to change the directions of my marks a little bit to sort of mimic what the cloud's doing. Ah, there's a lump nobody asked for. Thank you.
Josie Chadwick asked a minute ago, what are the properties of the manganese blue?
Oh, it tends, well, the one I have is a Rembrandt one, and it's got this very fine ground pigment, which is common of a lot of the Rembrandt brands. It's quite a, it's a good blue for greens. Yeah, it's got a slightly yellow tint. It's quite a clean colour. It's quite a sort of chemically sort of, you know, that sort of sharp on the eyes sort of colour. Oh, I'm spotting a few other things here, which is some of those lone greys just sitting in the sky by themselves. Pretty much the same tone. There you go. Pretty much the same tone as the blues. So I'll put a bit of that in there as well. Keeps overlapping. Okay, I'll go one lighter here. Get a few of those. No, it needs to be even lighter than that. I'll put a bit of white in it. Brush mixes. Tiny little increments. There we go. So that's some of the there's some whites underneath that. Okay, it's starting to get interesting now. There's a whole load of this blue underneath here, and that is glorious. That's still too dark. Oh, I got too carried away there, but or did I? Is that okay? I think that's okay. Yeah, because it's still no, it's too dark. It's so subtle. Gotta be very careful. Just scrape that off again. Change my mind. Yeah. No, the spatula hasn't come out yet. Right. This is interesting. I'm going to get more blue in there. And actually, I've got some of this violety purple colour. I'm going to get some of that in. It's still too light. Or is it, does that background need to get darker? Yeah. Again, because I did that. I did the chimneys and stuff first, so it's like I'm trying to go around them, trying not to ruin them. Got to be able to do that. I can always put them in again, and will. Got enough information to know where they go. There we go. Now it's getting a bit of life to it now. And there's a bit of blue in there, and up the top of here. And this is memory again, doing this now. And it's a sky, it's not the sky, it's not the one I want, it's not quite right yet, but there's something there. And there's something I can work into afterwards. So, yeah, well, I've got some of that sky colour. I'm going to borrow it a little bit. And that's what we're going to have in these windows.
You seem to be on a bit of a roll, but there's sort of 20 past 8. I don't know if you want to continue or have a
Okay,
break.
yeah, I think I will have a very short break. Okay, bits of roof there. Well, I've got this blue going. There's a few bits of blue in that background. And that's going to get darker as it gets nearer the top. Yeah, let's give it let's give it 10 minutes, and then hopefully we'll get a bit of a change in the light. I'm going to wash these brushes and get a new piece of kitchen towel, and then we'll see if we can capture the orange as it flies past. It happens in moments, but that should be a fun thing. We're priming ourselves to just get that moment of light as it appears. So that's fun. Are we off? Yeah. Putting the time lapse on. We've got a choice of two there. Nice one. Would you like a beer? Oh, if it's on the time lapse, it's automatically. Yeah, time lapse way. It is. There's a big picture. waving at Laura. Got a drink. Okay. I've got pay. But find me on YouTube. Find me on YouTube. I'm live. Yeah. Yeah. Leave me a comment. No. It's great. Say something nice. Okay. Do say something nice. Is it? Oh yeah. Yeah. That's great, Randall. Down 3, 2, 1. 3. Back again.
I need to switch camera on, James.
Oh yes. Ta-da! It's reappeared. If you fancy doing a jaunt with the phone, well, you can pass it to me and then go back and switch the thing. We can do that in a bit. I'm seeing some other colours turning up, and there's a few things I want to change about this. So straight away, I'm going to break this edge here a bit more dynamism with that. I've got, where's my blue? I don't even know. So I'm cleaning my brushes as I go along. It's just going to be my blue now. A bit of violet on it, doesn't matter. I break into this with a bit of the blue. Little dashes of that. That's a bit more interesting already. Put some of this blue up top. I'm going to want brushes for the lights, and this is going to be pretty much all brush mixes, but I've got this lovely glowing orange coming through. And keep the soft brushes for this. A few that are in pretty good nick. Ooh, that one's on the edge. So yeah, there's some heavier darks going in to this sky. Trying to do a bit of this violet. Now I've got enough paint on now, I can kind of bring in. I don't want lumps, thank you. Bring in a few of these other shapes. I can bring in a bit more of this blue in here. Some of the paler one on there. Break that up. Right. Some of these lights are going to be actually quite a lot of fun to put in. I'm going to preempt the orange I'm going to get. And I'm going to mix that with a bit of the light. A little bit. And put a bit more red in it. So, Rose Madder to the rescue. We're nearly after the watershed, aren't we? Is it time for the Isaac Asimov limerick yet? It only really makes sense if you know who Titian was. And you know what Rose Madder is.
I'm sure there'll be people out there that do. Can't say that's me.
Well, Rose Madder is a pigment, so I think you're up to speed now. Okay, so get some of those oranges in there. Every time I mix it, I lose a bit more, so I need to start with the brightest areas. And again, that mixing on the surface. Not about to. I'll have a bit here, it will travel across. There'll be a bit in there as well. So I'm sort of borrowing the language of the clouds.
Hey, in Maine, this is called beautiful painting so far.
Oh, well, thank you, Kay. It's been long before. Nice to have you back again.
Even thunder.
Yeah. So as I go in, I can bring in a few more. These oranges are going to travel across. And what's really interesting is where it gets right down at the back. I can put in a few strips here. So that's going to go in there. Do the brightest bits first. And put these chimneys back over the top afterwards. And then as it mixes in, it should be quite forgiving. So a bit more pink out of that. Checking a bit more red in the background actually. You get right down to the horizon. Put in a bit more yellow. Down to here, that's got to get thicker. I'm going to make some proper thick paint to get that colour. Might even have to get the palette knife out. There we go. The lump, which nobody asked for. Let's slather that on at this stage. There. A little bit. A little bit there. A little bit at the top of that. And get up to here. A bit more.
Just casting back to sort of first part, and you were saying there are any ideas regarding starving artists so that we could do it for next week.
Oh yeah.
Emma, I put this as a question on Instagram.
Okay. Right.
Emma came back with Brett. You said about exhibiting in Shaftesbury, Gold Hill, Home and Hovis advert.
Yeah.
So yeah, starving artist with Brett. That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
Stale bread.
It'd have to be stale old bread.
Yeah, possibly a glass of milk by the size.
Milk's a bit extravagant. Okay, so I'm just trying to feel my way along with this. I can go further with this pink here. I can put some pink in the top of these clouds here. Oh, that's cheeky. And when it comes to the lights, I can bring a bit more of that out. Flatten those off a bit. That's leaning too much. Okay. Since this is picking up a lot of the blue at the moment, I can put a bit of that back in like this. I've got some of that violet. I'm going to put some of that violet in. And there's these particular shapes it forms, and especially at the bottom of the clouds, where they flatten off. And this is where a round brush would come in useful, actually. We can kind of get around that, I think. Okay, where's my light brush gone again? I don't even know. I'll use this one. Okay, this is where I can start approaching. Mix of yellow here. Sort of running out of space in the palette, but there's some of this peachy colour. Bringing this in here. Not being too careful. Way too careful. Some mix in white. Let's get some of those edges on those clouds. A few bits in here. A bit on the outside. So is that Emma Marfay things out then?
Yes.
Oh, let's move her along. Right, there's some lights underneath these clouds, at least there were earlier. I'll go back to putting those in. I'll go back to the titanium white. It's got a far greater tinting strength, so it will hang on a bit longer. There we go. Right, and that's what I need around the top of here. And then as it breaks in.
But other than the obvious, and this will show my sort of small naivety in all of this, was titanium white.
Yeah.
And white. Explain the difference.
Titanium white it refers to the pigment that's used to make the white.
Okay.
It's titanium dioxide, as far as I know. I'm sure I could be corrected if I've got that wrong, but I know it's pretty much exactly the same pigment they used to use in food colouring. So it's most pigments historically have been the byproduct of something else. Certainly, like newer pigments, frequently the industrial byproduct of something else, lead white, which was widely used, was the byproduct of a few different processes. Basic lead carbonate was the pigment, and it was everywhere and it was cheap. It was a great way of making children's toys really poisonous as well. bit of fun. Okay, right. I'll take a bit of a distance on this. I need a bigger brush, and I need to soften some of this up, break it up a bit, bigger shapes. You get into the habits of how you move the brush around. Oh, there you are. Okay, there's something there. I'm going to pick up some of this titanium white, some of this mixing white, which is a mixture of zinc white and a few others. I'm not entirely sure which ones. I'm going to put some impasto on there.
With there being sort of zinc white as well, is that they're kind of different brightness levels?
Yeah, well, they'll have different tinting strength. They'll have a particular kind of, what would you call it?
Tone? Hue?
Keep guessing. Let's see, you're getting there in the end.
Yeah.
You're hearing all these words, aren't you, Graham? They're gradually starting to make sense to you.
Yeah. It's more education for me.
No, absolutely. No, I didn't mean to be dismissive then at all. You just confused me, actually, if I'm honest. Right. Yeah, so they'll have accents, if you like. They'll have a slight leaning towards a particular colour. It's almost indistinguishable unless you're painting with it, and then it starts to matter. And there's particular pigments that, so a lot of artists will have two versions of each colour on their palette. And usually they'll characterise them as a warm and a cool, but also a leaning towards the adjacent colour on the colour wheel. So if I've got a red, if you think of a colour wheel, then on one side you've got the oranges, and the other side you've got the purples. So you'd have a purpley red and an orangey red, and you're not going to be able to mix a very good purple with your orangey red. But sometimes that's a good thing. You can make something quite neutral, quite soft, lower chroma, actually sort of lower intensity, if you like. Sorry, I'm trying to do two things at once here. No, I'm not happy with that. Okay. Sorry, I lost my track there. Oh, look at that green. That green in the sky, look at that colour. Glorious. I'm going to have to get a bit of Talo green out just to get that. No, Viridian. Use some Viridian. Oh, that's crisp and bright. That's the brush I was using. And I don't think I'll even make this like a flat colour. I think I'll just put little dashes of it in just to brighten that up. Just to give it some intensity. No, it's still not quite right. I've got quite a lot of viridian in that. See what I can get away with, just as a sort of an outline to these yellow clouds. Still not green enough. Those purples are really intense now. Put a bit of that in there. And even paler, especially nearer the horizon. Lump. There we go. It's mad how the clouds keep changing, but I'm sort of sticking with the structure I had earlier. Put a bit of that at the bottom of these, just to create a bit of softness at the top of that cloud. You get a bit hairy at the edge. Okay, yeah, that's coming in. Hey, put the dash in there as well. Break it up a little bit. Okay, I'm quite happy with that. I need a smaller brush for my light. Better brush as well, actually. This is better. Right. Pick up some of this, put a bit of extra yellow in it. I said before about how this is sort of where my brightest lights are, in this gap here. I'm sticking with that. Let's make that proper intense. Get some more of that pink in here. Actually under there. Under here. There's probably a limit to how much pink I should try and put in here, but no, as it gets nearer the horizon, I quite like it. I think it works well. Okay, I'm not overly fiddle with that. Now I can put some of that light into these tiles and things now. Bit in there, definitely a bit like that. Some bits get more orange. And there is, and I will use some of that sky colour for this. This row of, what do they call them? Capping tiles, whatever. sure there's a name for it. Any roofers out there will be able to correct me straight away.
On the top of the roof,
Yeah, the one on the
ridge.
ridge bits, yeah. Let's pop a little bit of that in there, just to be a bit naughty. Okay, back to my beigey colour now. We'll brighten some of that pink for it. Yeah, so because of my need a bit more control to stop my hand leaning. It's okay. We'll have these light bits appear at the front. While that's pale, I can go a bit into my distant abbey. Need some darks in there as well, just to finish that off. These chimneys and what have you. Let's pop a few of those in there. And then let's get some of these, what do you call them? Bits of roofing, I guess. So it needs a gutter underneath it, but in the meantime, this will be fine. Come on. I tend to hold my brush quite loosely. And then every now and again it just sort of flies away. That'll do it. What's interesting here is actually that this needs to angle up. It wobbles there, but then it goes upwards. Like that. Okay, got overly fiddle with that. I'm not going to bother. A few little dashes and bits and pieces just to kind of get some texture in. Now, if I get these darks right, there'll be this sort of jump into the background with the abbey. in the distance. I think that's already started to happen in a way. There we go. Maybe here as well. Oh, that is the Abbey. That shouldn't be that dark. Right. Chimneys. There's one of them's got a fake owl on, which I think is to stop pigeons from perching on their chimney and perhaps soiling their fireplace. And the pigeons have made friends with it and sit next to it, which brings me great amusement. I'm sure it wouldn't if it were my chimney, but I guess that makes me a bad person. You right there, Graham?
All good.
You're very quiet.
Watching, listening.
Ah, actually got your attention. That's a good sign.
A lot of times there's, in particular on thatch roofs, there was the kind of animals and bits that were put on the tip of ridges was originally said to stop witches from being able to land on your ridge.
Right. Well, it's a good precaution to take, isn't it?
It is, yeah. You don't want a witch on your roof. To be
No.
honest, so.
I mean, one or two is fine, but several of them, they can become a nuisance, can't they?
It becomes like Heathrow on your
Yeah.
on a ridge. Many stupid traditions in that business, but anyway.
Did you say you used to work as a thatcher?
I did, yeah.
That's it's quite a remarkable thing to be able to say these days.
Just hit the 9 o'clock mark, but we started about 15 minutes late, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of setting up. Well, this is nearly done now. And as you can see, the last bit will be a slightly darker version of that violet, just to put in the pinnacles on the abbey. Boom. Oh, thank you.
Just let me know when you're going to use it. Fitting to be painting the abbey and then getting the bells going on.
Yeah.
It's not good, is it?
Yeah, years ago, well, a few years ago, I did a project with a marvelous photographer friend of mine, who I keep meaning to call. The bell ringers. It's her project, and she brought me in on it. I did a picture of the bell ringers, which is now in the ringing chamber, and she took a photo of me, which is actually just to your right. The first time I went up to the ringing chamber, and I'd taken my noise cancelling headphones, because from here it's pretty loud, and I thought, well, sitting underneath it's going to be deafening. It was it was absolutely fine. They've got this super noise absorbing floor, and yeah, it was absolutely fine. So that was me and my noise cancelling headphones, utterly redundant. Okay. Still a bit more dark in here, I think, just to sort of get some of that structure in. What have I missed? Okay, I need to do the lamppost, which is here. I'll do another one where I come up from the bottom. And that's going to have some of the sky colour in it, so it's going to be a bit of fun. Where was that? Yeah. So we'll put some of that side. We'll put a blackened version of it this side. And we'll have a redder version of it, like the roofs, this side. Not dark enough. That's quite fun. Yeah, that's good. A bit more of that on here. And while I've got this light on, I'm going to go back into this peachy colour. It's not really a peachy colour, it's a sort of sandy colour, and I'm going to put in a few of these lights, like the gutters. It's a lamppost, not a lamppost, a drain pipe. And there. A few lights on the front of this. Where else? What else? Little lights there. Anything else? Oh, the lights on the Abbey are coming up now. But it's too late for that. Have to change everything. I can't be bothered. Yeah. Oh, that was it. So I've got this shiny light, yellowy orange, off the clock, which for a long time was very murky, but they cleaned it for me because, you know, clearly noticed I was late a lot of the time. I felt they needed to do something, so thank you, the Abbey staff that had that done for me. Put a few other lights in there. Bits and pieces. Okay, I'm fiddling now. Stop fiddling. Ah, that was it. Up here on the top of this chimney pot. Wakey, wakey. Let's put a light edge on that as well. And a pinky light edge on that, which I've already done, I think. Let's do it again, just make it a bit sharper. And I think that's probably it, isn't it? Nearly. A few little things. You get a lot of red in here. Oh, there we go. I'll do a few of these. Some of these chimney pots on top. That's it. Yeah, any more than that, I'll fiddle with it too much. Hopefully, I feel like I can sense everybody screaming, "Stop fiddling, James! Stop fiddling! Leave it alone. It's fine. What are you doing? Stop it! Stop it! Just stop! What's wrong with you? Behave yourself, man!" Right, last bit, and then I'm going to sign it. Thank you very much for joining me. Let's have a little view with the hang on, no, that's the last bit. That's the last bit there. Now we'll do it. Makes very little difference, I needn't have bothered. Good time to stop. Right. I ought to put a signature on this, and I think I ought to do it in Rose Madder. And now we're past the watershed. The Isaac Asimov limerick was. Let's see if I can remember this. Once Titian, while mixing Rose Madder, saw his model on top of a ladder. Her position to Titian suggested coition, so he climbed up his ladder and had her. It's a beautifully crafted limerick. I mean, you can't fault it for that. But, you know, in modern times. There you go. That's just about legible. Woohoo! Yeah, should we have the should we go to phone cam? Oh,
Yeah. We are live on phone cam.
okay. Oh, I can't see it on here, so I'm just guessing. But that's my view from where I am. You can see that the pink's just about gone now. But we had that little glow in the sky temporarily. And I had this structure of clouds, which once I sort of established it, I stuck with.
Tilt them up a little bit further. That's it.
There we go. So you can see the camera you were looking through
Really do, yeah.
on a stick. And then if we go back to here, we've got this one. Should we go back to the main one and I'll adjust the...
Yep, there you go.
Thank you. We'll adjust the other camera. Oh. Arrange things a bit. Now you're going to have to tell me left and right. This is going to be a fun little game. This left.
You're right about that.
Oh, you mean, okay.
That's fine. That was great. Go back again.
Okay.
A little bit more. A little bit more.
Back there.
And stop. Perfect, yeah.
Okay, there we go. So if I have a little zoom in, you can see the abbey there in the distance. There's my sky, which sort of wanders up, and then there, way over there.
Yeah, the lamp post is amazing. Such a simple, but sort of
Yeah,
addition
well,
that's in it, but it's just amazing.
by that time I had a structure of colours. Am I right back in the right place?
Yeah, you're in the right place. That's cool.
Okay. No, that's not in focus. You can do it. Come on, little camera.
Anne has just enjoyed the session. Have a good week.
Oh, thank you, Anne.
And Anne Sullivan said, really beautiful, like a Vermeer.
Vermeer. Ah. Well, that's flattery indeed.
Yeah.
I'm sure I can't live up to that, but
Yeah.
I would like to say as well. There's a few folks do support me on Buy Me a Coffee, for which I'm immensely grateful. We've been super busy that the last few weeks I have neglected putting stuff up there, but I will continue to put up the videos of the live streams, and I'm going to start limiting the ones that are on YouTube. So it'll just be the last 8 or something on YouTube. I think I haven't quite decided what yet, but all of them will be available on Buy Me a Coffee for anyone who wants to contribute, even the smallest amount. Helps keep the whole thing going. Yeah.
Worth mentioning again, James, about the fact that you were open to doors at Arts Week.
Oh yes. I'll tell you what. Should we go back to the phone cam?
The phone cams.
Yes.
Yeah. Sure. So,
I'll put some lights on.
we are on phone cam.
Good. Hang on. Well, I'll switching things on. So,
It doesn't seem to be wanting to.
it's because I did a disconnect.
Oh yeah.
Oh well, that's all over. Hang on a minute. No, go back again. I'll tell you what. I'll just do a little panorama with this one. So we'll give you a little scan of the studio as it is. Can't remember how to work this tripod. But yeah. So here's the studio. with a load of pictures up
Thumbs up the idea.
and it go into this tiny box.
Yeah, where it should be.
Yeah, so we moved the sofa, so it's not normally there. So here's some things, and then there's others in the hallway. I don't know if I can get there with the camera. I don't think I can. But yeah, so you can come. So I've got the anima exhibition up in the hallway, and yeah, it's not reconnecting, is it? Damn you, technology. But yeah, so do if you're in the vicinity of Sherborne, you'd like to come and say hello, have a look at what I've been doing, and maybe see a few of the videos you've watched in real life, then yeah, be lovely to see you. We're open from 10:30 till 5:30 all day. Second Wednesday I will be out teaching, and I won't be here. So if you want to avoid me, that's a good time to come. But otherwise, yeah, thank you so much for coming along, and we'll do the starving artist in this Garrett picture next week, and I think I might dress appropriately. We'll wait and see what happens.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody.
Cheerio.